Randall Vos, ISU Extension, are here at the berry patch, and we're going to take a look at how blueberries grow. So blueberries, like a lot of fruits, bear fruit on 1-year-old wood. So this was a green shoot last year, but they don't produce berries or flowers all on that wood. If you take a look, notice towards the base of this shoot, or excuse me, cane, that the buds are pretty skinny like that. And those are going to be vegetative buds, so those buds will not produce fruit. When you get towards the top here, those buds get a lot plumper, and those are all flower buds. And so one of our goals when we're pruning blueberries is we want to select and keep younger wood that has really vigorous growth, because it has a high proportion of flower buds to vegetative buds on it. If you look at some older wood, for example, so this is on a much older cane. We only have a few flower buds up here, and we have a lot of vegetative buds. And so if we select canes or keep canes that have this kind of twiggy growth, is what we call it, less vigorous growth, it's going to have smaller berries, fewer berries. And so when we're pruning, we want to try and eliminate these old canes that have lots of twiggy growth and keep the younger wood that has a higher percentage of fruit buds, more likely to have larger fruits on them as well. So if we take a look inside this plant here, you'll notice how we have a few vigorous canes here. This is some nice young wood that's going to produce a lot of fruit for the next few years. And we compare that to something like this. Again, this is an older cane. It's getting kind of what we call twiggy. Again, very few flower buds on it, very little growth. This one's a little bit better. It's got, some decent growth on it, but even it's got fewer flower buds on it. And again, they're probably more likely to have smaller fruits on it too. So this is the kind of stuff we want to eliminate over time as we prune, and we want to leave this kind of stuff. Blueberries are pretty tough plants, actually. If you keep them watered, that's critical, is getting them water, but they do have a couple fungal diseases that are fairly common, and one of them that causes this kind of bronzing or discoloration is one called phomopsis. And so when we're scouting, taking a look at how we did last year, there's always going to be some disease. 100% control is just not possible. But quite often when we have this bronzing or maroon, rust kind of colored stuff, quite often that is a fungal disease, phomopsis. And so phomopsis, just something that we control when we're growing blueberries. So one thing to keep in mind also is that different plants or different cultivars of plants have different natural colors. So we talked a little bit about how there's a disease called phomopsis that can cause some rusting or maroon color in the cane. Again, that's not always 100% the case. Not just because there's a different color that it's a disease. So this variety naturally has more reddish canes on it. That's just part of it. Conversely, this one naturally has more greener canes. And so a lot of times we like to kind of oversimplify things and be like, oh, it's red or purple, it's got this disease. But remember, I got to keep in mind that different cultivars have different kind of natural colors in their canes. This is true with blueberries and lots of other plants. So keep that in mind when we're scouting, that there are different colors within the plants. This is the kind of wood that we like to eliminate. Again, it's very twiggy. Notice it has very short shoots last year. Not a lot of flower buds on it, so we just have a few of those fat flower buds on there. Conversely, this is the kind of wood we want. We have lots of vigorous growth, lots of flower buds, so we can either eliminate it completely, or we can prune back to one of these more vigorous canes and get rid of this older twiggy wood out of there. It's not going to even hurt your yield that much, because there's just a lot of very small berries on here. And we just need to kind of keep these plants young, keep cycling out the old wood, and keep nice new wood in there. And you can see we don't have a lot of gray bark in there. So that's a sign that this plant, has been pruned a fair bit, and it's kept it fairly young. Conversely, if we look over here, we have a lot more gray bark in here. Now it's a different variety, but you know, something like this, we want to get rid of. I think it actually might be dead. Yeah, it's dead. That's why it's cutting so hard. Or even something like this, we can get rid of it completely, and maybe that's what I would do in the long run. Or we just eliminate this older part of there and turn it back to some younger wood like that. So either completely eliminate them or cut them back to where there's some nice vigorous growth. This is what we want. We have vigorous growth here and lots of flower buds. These fatter ones or plumper ones are flower buds. At the base, these skinnier ones on the 1-year-old wood are vegetative buds. So there's a lot of flower buds on here. If we compare that to kind of twiggier growth, we have a few flower buds here and there, but not a lot. And so these only grew, you know, an inch and a half this year. And that's a sign that it's probably time for this cane to go. They kind of, as they get older, these branches get more complex and they just don't grow quite as good. So our goal with pruning these blueberries is to get rid of stuff like that and try and cut it close and keep this younger wood that has vigorous growth with lots of flower buds on it. Boom.